Beyonce was in town for a concert and we almost had her come in to our school to speak to the kids. But we still had such an amazing event. But what grabbed my attention was the fact that I saw two-time NBA champ and now Hall of Famer, Mr. Chris Bosh. And I heard him talk about his experiences with learning how to code and how he thought coding was cool. And so hearing from somebody that not only looked like me, but somebody I could actually relate to, somebody that I looked up to, that's what really made the difference. And so
good afternoon and welcome to Atlantis University Studios. I am Dr. Miya Burt-Stewart and I have someone very special with me. I will allow him to introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Palacios, Director of Operations for Atlantis University, and welcome to Atlantis University Studios to one of our first podcasts. Very excited.
Excited, yes. And not to mention our first podcast and the guests that we have for our first podcast. So yeah, this will be historic for us, I think.
And the backstory is that as a very trendy higher education institution, heavily invested in tech, in STEM education, we have created a platform to communicate and express the importance of engineering, the importance of training and the skills needed, to uplift the workforce. So we created this platform for a discussion to talk about everything going on in the United States, all the advancements, all the people having a huge impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, Andy. I think that Atlantis University, particularly AU Studios, the format that we've created, in order to do just what you've said, right? Be a integral part of the community by providing these kinds of services and expanding and sharing information that is pivotal to not only our students, but our communities. I agree.
And with that, we're very excited to discuss and talk about these changes and impacts that are going on in our nation. And with that, there's this very unique organization led by a young, charismatic man who's making a huge impact in the community of Chicago, and I'm pretty sure that very soon nationwide.
National. Well, now they're already national. We're just looking for that global expansion. We're just waiting on that global. And so we've got two very, very inspiring innovators, Mr. Michael Brock and co-founder of Dream Hustle Code, and Ian Michael Brock, co-founder of Dream Hustle Code. I think Ian must be, the swaggiest, youngest co-founder in the United States. And so we're not going to tell their story. We'll let them do it. But, it's an organization started in 2017. They're in that tech space. And so we are just excited to have them here with us. And, tell your story. Hello, Brock and Brock.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting us on.
Yes, we appreciate it. We appreciate it, and so we don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll tell you, like my grandfather would always say to me, I hate to. I hate to see you come, and I hate to see you going. I hate to disappoint you, right? Hate to see you come, and I hate to see you go. So we want you all to come, and we want you to come back, right? So we don't want to waste too much of your time, but we'll let you just kind of open up Dream Hustle Code, great organization out of Chicago, making an impact in the Black and brown community, doing some things nationally, already met with the White House, Google, Microsoft connected. Tell us about that.
Oh, awesome. So Dream Hustle Code is the organization that we created in 2013 with the main focus of bringing access to computer science education as well as personal development to kids who are underrepresented and underestimated in the tech space. And so how we got started, it was all because of a video that my mom came across on Facebook that was titled "What Most Schools Don't Teach." And so in this video, it talked about the importance of computer science and how every single kid should learn how to code. Now, growing up in Chicago, I'm a kid. I was a Derrick Rose fan. My dad, he was a Michael Jordan fan. So basketball was a part of my life since I was born, almost. And so I wanted to go to the NBA. My focus was playing video games. My focus was also getting good grades in school. So that was my mindset when I was 8 years old. And so my mom, she had me watch this video. And while I was watching this video, I honestly thought it was boring because I'm hearing all these different people talk about computer science when I didn't even know what it was. And I saw Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, but that at that time, I just didn't really know or understand what they actually did. But what grabbed my attention was the fact that I saw two-time NBA champ and now Hall of Famer, Mr. Chris Bosh. And I heard him talk about his experiences with learning how to code and how he thought coding was cool. And so hearing from somebody that not only looked like me, but somebody I could actually relate to, somebody that I looked up to, that's what really made the difference. And so ever since then, I've been saying this since the beginning, but had he not been in this video, we wouldn't be here today. Dream Hustle Code wouldn't be a thing, and we would have never been able to do the work that we've done to this date. So how Dream Hustle Code came into play was because fast forward to December 2013, the end of that same year, we ended up hosting this event called the Hour of Code at my elementary school. And so we invited another school from the south side of Chicago to join us. Beyonce was in town for a concert and we almost had her come in to our school to speak to the kids. But we still had such an amazing event, had so much positive feedback. And that's what started us on our journey to create Dream Hustle Code, because we knew there was a lack of computer science being taught in the school systems.
So I was saying how it's very inspiring how it all starts with a video of an athlete that we admire, and then, that starts a movement. So that's pretty great. So how, if you can take us through the years of, the progress, what has happened every year and where you are right now?
We'll take it. Okay. Well, it started after that event that we did in December of 2013. We started doing free summer coding camps for kids. We raised money, and that's when our initial partnerships with corporations began. During that first summer in 2014, we had McDonald's. We started our relationship with Microsoft. We had several others come on board with us to either donate their time or their resources to help us expand what we were trying to do in those communities. From there, we've taken kids out of the Chicagoland area and flown them, many for the first time ever being on a plane, flown them to Silicon Valley to visit different technology companies, including Google and Netflix and some of the others there. We flew them down to Los Angeles to visit tech companies there, and then back to Chicago. We were actually gearing up for the second phase of that particular venture when the pandemic hit and put the kibosh on everything. So with what we found out with the kids that we intend to serve is that it's the same experience as the one that Ian had. They have to see individuals in a space that look like them in order to inspire them. And so we wanted to create opportunities for them to do that as much as possible. And there's no greater opportunity than to visit a company that you use every day in your regular life and see what's going on behind the scenes. And an added layer to that was that we made sure that they saw Black and brown engineers at those companies. They came out and spoke to the kids about their experiences at those companies. And so those types of experiences for kids can life altering. And so from there, we went on to develop. We went to different states, creating opportunities for kids to get involved. We set up training for educators in the state of Wisconsin to work with specifically code.org and get trained in the area of technology and coding and how to incorporate that into their core curriculum. That went on and led us to the work that we're doing today. Well, the pandemic shifted everything. Yes. It was all in person prior to the pandemic. The pandemic changed everything for us because what it taught us was that we can actually go global with this. We can touch kids across the nation and across the world with the work that we're doing. So during the pandemic, Ian started teaching directly computer science, intro to computer science classes. And he had kids from 30 different states across the U.S., He had kids clock in from Canada, Nigeria, and so on.
Awesome.
And that momentum built. And today, as we move forward, we have a whole list of activities that we do right now. We have after school programming. We have summer programming. Ian's about to go on an HBCU System for Success tour. And what that mainly focuses on is the personal development side of what we incorporate into the learning spaces that we develop. And we have an event called Teen Tech Live that we produce during National Computer Science Education Week in December of each year. And what that is if you can imagine bringing together, we like to say, if you can imagine a mashup of CES, Coachella, and South by Southwest, okay, and a virtual event for kids to come into.
Wow.
We bring in celebrity guests. We have a DJ in there. We have billionaire tech founders come in, talk to the kids about their experiences. We have representatives from the major tech companies come in, and they really have an opportunity to engage with the kids and explain and talk to them about the different opportunities in those industries. If you want to.
And one also portion of it all, because every kid loves this part of it, but it's the gaming side. That's key and point in not only our computer science classes, but also in Teen Tech Live, because if you can relate something that a kid is interested in with technology, it's that much more easier to onboard them into this space. So included in Teen Tech Live, we have a massive gaming tournament where kids can come and play their favorite game, as well as compete for prizes, especially right before Christmas. On top of that, we had some celebrity guest speakers from two-time Super Bowl champ Mr. Ray Lewis come on and inspire the kids. And we also in Teen Tech Live during last December, we had Kyrie Irving come on, do an interview where I got a chance to ask him questions to some of the students from our own Teen Tech Live event from the certain schools that got to ask him questions. And so between our two events, we've had just over 23,500 students participate virtually. And we're working on our third edition this December to host almost 50,000 students as well. So it's a lot of work we've been doing over the last 9 years.
Yeah.
The fact that we've been able to do this work, I don't know how, but it's all because of God and all because we understand that our purpose has been to help others and bring them the same opportunities that I was exposed to in the beginning.
And so Ian said something, and it looked like it resonated. It certainly did resonate with Andy and I. You said that when students or kids are playing something that they like or doing something that they like, it's easy to learn. And so when we think about the future, when we think about why technology, computer science, and programming is so important for our future, do we have to look forward to always engaging kids in terms of what they like in order to get them to see how critical and how important it is, how technology is to our future? Or like, how do we make sure that, we're able to focus on or gear, what we do towards what kids like in order to bring them into this space?
I think that it's actually an opportunity. I think many people get bogged down with the challenge of it all, but it actually creates a unique opportunity. There's something really cool that's happening at the intersection of technology, education, entertainment, sports, and gaming. And there's that unique thing that attracts this generation, Generation Z, to the table, because you're competing with so much right now for their attention. Social media, the internet, everything that's going on out there. So if you are giving, let's just take a 24-hour period of time for a kid in a kid's life. They're spending 16 of those hours in this hyper excited environments. And then you expect to bring them into a school and tell them to slow all the way down for 8 hours. Okay, that's contradicting everything that they know and that's natural to them. But if you're able to incorporate some of that same energy into the education system, they'll want to come to the table to learn. And that's what we apply. We simply look at what makes Ian go and duplicates that into our programming. So like when we talk about Teen Tech Live, or it's after school programming or it's summer programming, it all fuses technology, entertainment, education, gaming and sports. That's why he has a DJ. As crazy as that may sound, there's a DJ box inside of the Teen Tech Live event. It gets the kids excited. It makes them want to be there because they're basically on computers on an in-school field trip coming to this event. But the question is, how do you make it so engaging that they want to come back?
Yes.
And you have to incorporate that into it if you're going to keep their attention, because you're battling against so many other things for their attention. And if you don't come over to this side, you're going to lose that battle.
Another thing to add on top of that, not only just having or implementing the things that they are interested in, but it also comes down to what they're actually learning and also who is teaching it. Because this past weekend, I had the opportunity to speak at Mr. Steve Harvey's mentorship program down in Atlanta. And I got a chance to talk with many different kids my age, kids younger than me. And I sat down and had like an hour-long conversation with a couple of them. And so one of the kids, he has a situation at home where his family is struggling a little bit, but he has these big goals and big ideas for himself. But he has family members, his brother, they just don't have that sense of drive. It's not because they don't want to work, but it's because what they're learning, they just don't feel like it's going to be valuable to them. And I asked him, he's a very smart kid, and he told me his grades, and I was like, well, why aren't you interested in school? He's like, I don't feel like the stuff that they're teaching me is I'm going to be able to use in the next 2 years to go get a job to not only take care of myself, but take care of my family. So really, it really boils down to what are we teaching our kids? Because my generation, if we understand if what we're learning is we're able to use it to provide for ourselves. And so we just want to be able to have the right skill set and the right tools to be able to go create our big visions and ideas and turn those into realities. On top of that, it comes down to also our teachers. When I was in seventh grade, I had 6th and 7th grade, I had a teacher, Miss Cox. She was one of my favorite teachers. She was my social studies teacher. And so this was in 2016. So there was a lot going on in politics in the world around that time. And we were able to have honest conversation and honest dialogue. And it gave us an environment where we could speak our opinions, speak our ideas, and talk through some of the problems, some of the solutions. So in terms of its attention, it boils down to the three things of, yes, including their interests from sports, gaming, entertainment, music, technology, and also the teachers out there, and making an environment where the kids feel safe and they feel like they're being heard. But on top of that, providing them with the education of skills and also resources that they can actually use and apply once they get out of school to not only create a lucrative job for themselves, but also to provide for their families and essentially our community as well.
You guys are such on the right track. And as we're also discussing this internally, it's how do you, touching on several subjects, but how do you compete with so much that's going on in life with social media, and then you have the gamification, right, of education, right? The gamification of life. And what happened, what happened during the pandemic, and why did all of a sudden everybody started investing, right? This app came to life called Robinhood just because it was so easy to trade. Now, instead of this becoming such a difficult task, it's the gamification of trading, right? So I completely understand on the track that you're in. And then from the perspective of making education entertaining, right? So the edutainment aspect, it's so critical and key, right? Because we need to innovate with education, and we gotta be trendy in the way that we teach and the way that we compete, the way that we inspire, and that's key. But now let me ask you something. So there's a lot of interest from these kids. What about the parents? So the parents need to be completely bought in, or is that a challenge that you guys have?
Oh, here's the thing with that. It is, but then again, it isn't. Ian had the opportunity to speak recently in Saudi Arabia. So he spoke at a global entrepreneurs congress there. And the topic of discussion for his part of the event was dealing with purpose-driven entrepreneurship. And so after the event, Ian's very comfortable speaking in front of audiences. And so after the event, he has a crowd of leaders from different parts of the globe coming around asking questions. And there was a business leader from Uganda and one from London. that pulled my wife and I aside, and they said, listen, we're interested in what Ian's talking about, but we want to know what you guys did to create an Ian. And we had to laugh about that because we're getting more and more of that. Parents are interested in the future for their kids. Many times they just don't know how to engage because there is a distinct separation right now between Generation Z and all the generations prior to them. And I say that because they're historically the first generation born into this technology environment the way that they are. Mm-hmm. They are babies right now can't walk, but they have tablets that they're doing things on. So their lives evolve around this. And on top of that, you have to add the fact that they're able to move so effortlessly through the real world and the virtual world. That's native to them. And no other generation prior to them has been able to accomplish that because quite honestly, the virtual worlds did not exist prior to them. Mm-hmm. So keeping up with them is difficult, and it can be frightening for parents at times. So they need assistance in terms of how to help their kids, how to motivate them to move forward, and how they too can play a role. There's a story from a young lady that, well, you know what? Let me let you tell the story. Can you tell the story of the young lady and her father that went into?
Let's hear that story.
Oh, yes. So there was so in the computer science classes that I was teaching in the beginning of the pandemic, there was this student named Xavier. And so Xavier, she came in, I believe, the third or fourth week of when we began on March 18th. And so there were other kids that were already ahead of her and that, had gone through certain projects far advanced. But when she came in with so much energy and so much passion that she came in doing her work during classes. She did her work outside of classes. And I think in less than 2 to 3 weeks, she ended up surpassing the kids that were already way ahead of her and started in the first week of the pandemic. And so she continued doing the work. It got to a point where I had literally had to make up projects and make up assignments just to give her so she could be busy during the class.
Wow.
And
awesome.
So it got to a point where she was so passionate about, and her energy was so high when it came to computer science, that her dad saw that and ended up learning computer science on his own so that he could switch careers and join the tech space. Now, that's not even the end of that story. That same girl that started in the beginning of the pandemic, she's now working on building her own websites, partnering with other individuals, celebrities. She's had celebrities view her own work. And she's now in line to have an internship at Microsoft when she turns 16 years old.
Wow.
And so it's stories like that show us the work that we're the work that we're doing not only allows us to touch kids directly, but also their parents and their families indirectly.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so that's really what it's about, though, right? That's really what it's about. Right, I think about, even in the education space, I think about what we do, right? As educators, right? Whether you're at the executive end, somebody like me in the classroom, that's why we're here, right? We need to see and hear about the stories that cause for our students to be successful. Yeah. To be successful.
Yes. So now let me ask you guys something. So this is a huge undertaking. Ian, how old are you?
17 years old.
Are you in school?
Just graduated high school.
Oh wow! So what are the next steps? What's gonna happen now?
So it's crazy how much has changed, or how much the plan has changed in really the last month or two. But I am taking a gap year this year to focus more on the business. As far as my dad mentioned earlier, I am doing an HBCU tour. We're calling it the Systems for Success Tour. And it ties more into the personal development side of things, because let's face it, you could be the most talented person in the world, have the most skills in the world, but if you're not mentally strong, if you don't have the personal development strategies to deal with, let's just say, adversity, then you won't be able to succeed in the long run. And so that tour, I've been learning personal development since I was 4 years old. And that tour allows me to share some of the strategies, not only for myself, but from other motivational speakers that I've done research on over the years, and share it with kids. We're also working on, you want to talk about the idea?
No, we can't. We were sitting down with a group of investors, as a matter of fact, in Chicago yesterday. and they see what you see in this guy and what we've been doing. And the notion right now is separating the nonprofit work from the business work and creating that direct line for the business. So right now, we're dealing with creating a pipeline that will allow us to not only do the work that we do in terms of marketing the possibilities in the technology space and recruiting, but developing the track that will help train and pipeline those kids directly into jobs. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the rainbow, you want to make sure that they have jobs there. During the pandemic, we had major corporations like McKinsey and Company, and I think maybe Amazon. They were one of our partners that we got with during that time. They were coming to us asking us if we had kids to go into their internship programs.
Oh, wow.
And we weren't prepared for that. That caught us off guard. And I think out of all of those opportunities, those available slots, I think we put one kid into those programs. And so what that did was a light went off. It's like we got to build something to make sure that these kids are pipelined in, because the partnerships that we have partnerships right now with McDonald's, with Microsoft, with Amazon, with McKinsey and Company, and several others. And so we're in position to go and talk to them about creating opportunities.
Recording in progress.
To talk to those corporations about making a pathway for these kids to come in and have job opportunities at these companies. So now we're building it. Now we got to build that. So that is the next phase of the work, in addition to continuing to build out Teen Tech Live and doing the Visionscape technology tours and that whole thing. So it's a lot on the table, and that's what we were talking to the investors and partners about yesterday. We've got to get ready to scale up, and what is that going to look like?
That next level, right? It's that next level. It's that next level.
Yes.
And which is the way and the future of education, right? If we think about, what is expected of a graduate, what's expected of somebody that goes through any training program, the expectation is that training program will deliver, with the skills ready for employment for any type of company. And as we're seeing this trend go, and if we think 5-10 years down the line, the best educational companies are going to be the ones that are in partnerships with companies.
Absolutely.
Are the ones that are building the curriculum with these tech companies that are building, specifically what do these companies need? What's Amazon going to need 5 years down the line? And they're not finding enough workers. They need these training partners.
Absolutely.
So I completely feel you.
And so we are going to get ready to wrap up, but I'm going to piggyback off of something my colleague said here, talking about the companies partnering with the universities. And so we're not going to get into it today, but Dream Tech Code AU might be at your door. How about that?
Yeah, you know what? As you mentioned that, I could totally see a partnership in that way, where something is built where, there's a curriculum that's created, and it's a short curriculum. It's not a long term, but it's a short, maybe year-long curriculum where the kids go through the program, and the curriculum is based on the needs of the corporations.
Yep.
So it's reverse engineered from traditional education. We have the meetings with the corporations first, and then create the curriculum based on what they need, so that those kids are prepared. And at the end of the run of the curriculum run, they have those jobs waiting, and the corporations are confident because they know that those kids are educated with the skills that they need to put them right through the door.
Okay.
So that's the next level of this. So yeah, we should talk about that,
so
because
minds
you guys
think
have
alike.
the infrastructure.
That's right. Brilliant minds think alike. So we're going to wrap up, and I'm sure I'm not even going to speak for Andy. I'm just going to say it because he's going to say it himself too. You guys rock. You absolutely rock. I'm excited to know you. I'm excited to wherever and whenever I can, Brock, we've been talking about some disabled vet stuff, down the line. And
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to know you all. Listen, just don't forget the little people. How about that?
we can't forget the good people. That's what it is. No one's list the good people. That's what we need. So thank you all for having us on board. for this historic moment for Atlantis University.
Absolutely.
And we're looking to coming back at some point to talk about what we're into next. So thank you.
Awesome, guys. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right,
and
take care.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
And so with that, wow, more than what you bargained for, would you say?
That's very admiring to see Ian 17 innovating in the tech space. It's something that you don't see that often. It's one of those things that are motivating and invigorating. I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
Absolutely.
It's the type of platform that this is built for, to hear these stories. And really this allows us to rethink a lot of the things that we do.
Absolutely, it does. I think that you're definitely right there. They really harped on the importance of technology, the importance of coding, the importance of gaming, right? Programming for the future. And this, we sit around the table often, I'll say, and these are some of the things that we think about. We're constantly talking about. We're pulling people into the room, right? We're always looking for ideas. We're always making the needed changes, right? That's one of the other things I like about AU, right? Our small class sizes allows us to pivot just that quick. And so I love that about us here at AU.
So guys, thank you very much for this first session of AU Virtual Studios and Podcast, where everything technology, entertainment is discussed.
Yes.
Miya, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And with that, we are going to wrap up and encourage you all to our viewers that are watching us to chime in every week, right? We've always got something in store for you. Follow us at Atlantis University, austudios.com. And we encourage you to just stick with us. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.